behalf of Rick, our engineer, my name is Doug, and I'm going to be your conductor, and the both of us would like to welcome you aboard the Barrett Station Miniature Railroad. Just a couple items of safety now before we pull away from the platform. We ask that you remain seated throughout the ride, but most importantly, make sure to keep those arms, legs, and heads inside these train cars at all times. And with that being said, we're going to join together on a count of 3 and say all aboard, and we will get this engine fired up. 1, 2, 3. Our miniature train is being pulled by a 1/3 scale replica of the CP Huntington, which actually had its glory days during the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad. This was the locomotive that was used starting on the west coast of Sacramento and headed eastward to meet up with the Union Pacific so that we would eventually have a rail system completely across our nation. This sleek-looking silver and red passenger train over here on our right was called the Aero Train. It was built in the mid-1950s, basically to provide long-distance service across our country, but it had a very short life in that capacity, about 3.5 years. The ride proved to be very uncomfortable. The accommodations were poor. So the train ended its life on the rails, serving as a commuter train between Chicago and Peoria, Illinois. This bridge that we're about to cross was actually a manually operated turntable that was used by the Frisco Railroad in its yard close to the museum here. But if the engine was in need of service or repair, it was placed onto the turntable, rotated around, and sent off into the direction of the roundhouse. And the same was true for locomotives going to different destinations. They were placed onto the turntable, they were rotated around to the appropriate track, and away they went. This jet plane that we see on display on top of that concrete pillar is a T-33. It was a 2-seater basically used for training purposes to train our nation's first pilots in the flying of jet aircraft. Since this museum theme is the history of transportation, just a little food for thought as we travel around the track here this morning. But had you been born in the early 1840s, were living in St. Louis, and had wished to travel to Kansas City by rail, that trip would have taken approximately 18 hours with an average travel speed of about 15 miles per hour. Today, Amtrak will make that same 250-mile run in about 5 hours and 40 minutes, and that's including all of its stops. Passengers, I don't know if you realize it or not, but this museum sits on about 120 plus acres of land. What you're going to see developed during your visit with us today is about half of that total. That acreage is owned and operated by an organization called TMA. The balance, All this woods that you see over here on your right, it is all owned and maintained by St. Louis County Parks Department. That property extends clear back up to Big Bend Road. This caboose that you see on display over here in front of our visitor center used to sit in a private residence backyard in Olivet, Missouri. It was his children's playhouse. The kids grew up and moved away. Mom and Dad no longer had a need for the playhouse, so they donated it to the museum. But the inside of that caboose has been completely restored back to original, and it is one of the exhibits that is open to the public. You can actually climb aboard that caboose, walk through it, see what life would have been like for a conductor as he traveled up and down the rails of our country. And folks, you're in luck today because we've been giving away a free eye examination to all of our riders during this current month of August. See if you can spot our decoy resident coyote as we go around this bend. He's right over here on the left-hand side of the train. He was placed here in the park so he can help be a deterrent for the Canadian geese that continue to walk on our tracks. But he doesn't do a very good job. Passengers, as we return to the train platform, I'm going to ask that we all remain seated until our train comes to a complete stop. Engineer Rick has a chance to set the train's emergency brake. Then he's going to blow this train whistle one final time to let us know it is safe to depart the train car. Adult passengers, watch your heads now as you depart the train car.